All right, hi everyone. Björgvin Benedictson here from Audio Issues, author of Step by Step Mixing. Again, back with a step-by-step mixing tutorial on hip-hop using Anthony Barber's song Get It. Last time we left off, I think we had stopped at getting the kick and the 808 sort of sounding as good as we could do in that time frame, I guess. Now we are going to, well, I guess the learning objective for this video is to make the drums and the beat overall sound as, as awesome as possible, honestly. I am not going to add the synths and the sort of harmonic backing tracks into it yet. I'm just gonna try to use some plugins to make the kick, snare, the claps, and some of the hat stuff and as cool as I can. So that's the objective here. Hope you'll enjoy it. Let's see what we can do. All right, so this is what we have so far. It might already be too loud, so let me reduce this. I could also just gain this down just a bit, but we won't worry about that at the moment, because if I gain this down, all this stuff that we did in the first video, the top-down mixing on the mix bus will sort of won't be as effective. So we'll adjust throughout the mix, but in this case, let's just work on the drums. All right, so we have the all-powerful Omni Channel from Waves. It's Andrew Shep's plugin, and it is great, and I'm gonna use it for most of the heavy lifting on the drum bus. So I'm just gonna tweak around and see what we can get. So these samples sound pretty good already, but it's always fun to just sort of experiment with EQ and see what happens. I don't hear anything wrong with anything here, but especially because they're not home recordings, so they don't have like weird resonances or anything like that. But sort of just see if there's anything that I feel like could be taken out. I'm gonna boost up here in the mids and sweep around a little bit so I can hear what's going on. And the fact that the 808 is also a kick drum kind of screws with my thought process here, because I'm hearing the kick drum of the 808, so I don't want to, and that's not what is going into this plugin. So I'm going to mute that and just work on the drums overall. So there's a lot of energy there in the hats, and if I was adding any air or things like that, it was overloading and bringing things out too much. So I just cut that out of the overheads. Well, we'll just rename that to hats because it's not a traditional drum kit. So we got this far now. Yeah, I'm gonna rewrite some of the stuff that I did in previous videos. I didn't like that overload there in the lows. So I'm trying to just do a little bit of compression here so that it, because I'm gonna add parallel compression. I know that already. So that I'm just using an opto and just like adding a little compression just to tighten things up overall. Just 1 to 3 dB here. You can see because I'm adding stuff and I'm adding some saturation, some thump here, the gain, the output gain becomes, there's more output gain now because I'm adding stuff to the input. So I reduce the level here so that it stays relatively the same level through the plugin from the input to the output. So it gains stages through the plugin at in a correct way. All right, so that's, there's not a lot of EQing I'm actually doing at the moment. I might need to do something later when I add more stuff to it. But at the moment, I'm just gonna move on from EQ and compression and saturation and just add my vitamin here. And this just adds low end and adds some air here, and it widens the mix, or widens the high end a little bit. Vitamins are really fun to use. All right, I'm gonna move on to the snare. Sample wise, it sounds fine. I'm just gonna add some compression to it. Maybe this MV2 just to add some low level thickness. Those hats really bother me, but I know that that's sort of the sound that people like. So I'm gonna leave that there. Put some. Let's add the 808 back in. I'm gonna listen with Sonarworks just for a second here, just to hear the changes. All right, pretty heavy there in the low end, but let's leave it like that. I'm gonna add a little space to the snare using the Snare Stretch. See how that ends up sounding. Maybe I'll use the little plate. Maybe I'll use the Valhalla. Yes, an interesting space there. As you can hear, there's a lot of tweaking that you can do with the reverb on the snare just to add some depth there. Not very much, very low in the mix. And then what else should we do? Should we add maybe some drum parallel compression? Let's add some parallel compression. And that's just my 1176. And we're just gonna crush it and add it underneath, see what happens. So where have we gotten so far? Let's try to deactivate these, this and that, and this and that and that and this, that. So I feel like the drums can be there's a little more room to them. I feel like it could have some reverb. So let's add some reverb. I have it on Valhalla Room, a gated drum room. Let's see if that does the trick, just to add a little depth and space. So, you know, you could add a bunch, but I'm trying to keep it very tight, very subtle, just a little bit of depth, a little bit of room around it, not too much space. I'm not really sure whether these hats need any particular compression on them. There's plenty of parallel compression going on here, and everything seems to be loud and and heavy. Let's make sure that things aren't being too limited here, because we've yet to add a bunch of other stuff. So it was hitting the limiter, so I just reduced the input gain of the limiter here, or of the ozone, so that it doesn't do that. All right, so that's just minus 2 dB there, just to make sure that the limiter isn't doing anything. Although this stuff is probably doing things at the moment, I might have to gain this down once I add the rest of the stuff in. But let's look at a few last minute changes. I added a little bit of extra low, mid, and some power here in 560 and 180 on the snare. And I'm going to check out the claps, see if I can do anything that makes sense there. And otherwise, it just adds a little bit of extra thickness there. I'll play it before I add it so you can hear it. So it just adds a little more hardness there. And then the claps, let's see what we got going on here.
Give me a minute.
I don't really see anything that needs to be added there. It's just a clap. So I'm not going to overmix a part like that. It adds a nice extra brightness and an extra thing to the snare there. And I don't feel the need to add anything else at the moment. But so far we have, well, this is everything that we have got going on so far. And then in the next video, we'll start working our way up the mix. I'll add the synths in there and get a really good beat going. And then we'll add the vocals in and do some parallel processing to finish things off. So let me know what you think. Let me know if you feel like something should be added. It's just, I've already done this mix, so I'm just doing it again for training purposes. And it's fun to sort of, and in the last mix I did of this song, I actually felt like I kind of overmixed it. So I'm trying to be a little conservative on things here while still giving you some tips and tricks to try out. So hope you found this useful. Hope you can use this in your own mixes if you're mixing hip hop in any way. And let me know if you have any questions about anything that I did in the video, and so I can add it to future videos. All right, so that's it for this video. Please remember to like and subscribe so that you can see the next videos in the series, and let me know what you think, of course. But if you want more from me, go to mixfinisher.com and download my Mix Finisher cheat sheet that helps you make your mixes sound great on every speaker you play them through. And if you want more step-by-step mixing tricks, you can go to stepbystepmixing.com and grab your copy of the book there. All right, thanks for watching. I'm Björgvin from Audio Issues. Have a good one.